Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to be off camera tonight because allergies were kicking my ass pretty much all day today. But we are back with our own personal top 10 lists for 1993. So yeah, there are a lot of good movies that actually came out this year. But it was actually for me, kind of fairly easy to narrow it down to 10.
A lot of big movies.
Quite a number. I think I have like maybe 2 big movies on my list. But some is nostalgia, some is actually big movies. Actually, hold on. So, yeah, 3 big movies. But anyway, before I say hello to the chat, and for those who are new tuning in, these are our own personal top 10 lists. So the movies themselves might not exactly be objectively great, but it's just our own subjective, preference. And reason why we'd are adding certain movies to our lists. So, Steve, let everybody know where they can find you and all that fun stuff.
Right here, twice per month. That's it.
Okay.
Not really.
Well, for the twice a month, it's a worldwide weird news in the top 10 lists.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm on with Teresa, who's in the chat, Miss Martin Muses.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And then the other 2 Wednesdays are the ones and twos. And for this month, and granted, we made this decision before Robert Downey Jr. basically continued going to the dark side by throwing his support behind Harris pre-election. The ones and twos for this month are the 2 Sherlock Holmes films he did along with Jude Law. So those 2 Sherlock Holmes films are this month, and then the singles this month are the 2 Final Fantasy films. Next week should be the normal schedule where it's the Wednesday is the first of the ones and twos, and then the following Thursday is the first single. But the next week after that, it's Thanksgiving, so we are not exactly going to stream that Thursday. So I believe, at least for that week, we're going to push that movie to Friday at the end of this month. And then next month, I think Orange Hat has at least one single in mind for next month, and I think I have an idea of what the ones and twos are going to be. I'm just going to keep it relatively simple, and I think I'm just going to do the 2 Home Alone movies, because I don't think we've done those yet, and those are, they're Christmas movies. So, but from the top, I see Jaluk. Hello, lurking, watching on TV. No worries, Jaluk. Good to see you. Gravy D, hello. I know you're being busy during the days, this past few days. Forgot about the list. Yeah, it's been a long week, so don't worry. So I understand you've been busy during the days. Terra Crystal, by the way, again, I should be getting the package tomorrow of what you sent, so I'll let you know when I get that. It's being delivered via UPS, and it could arrive pretty much at any point during tomorrow. But he says Nightmare Before Christmas, Jurassic Park, Groundhog Day, Bronx Tale, Fugitive, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Cliffhanger, The Piano, Demolition Man, Dave, Pelican Brief, Body of Evidence, and Hard Targets. There's been a lot. There were a lot, quite a few. I didn't count how many movies, because I basically what I do is I write the list of all the movies I remember I've seen from that year, and then I narrowed down to 10. And there were, like I said, quite a few where it's should I add that to the list? And I had to leave quite a few off. So Susan Ronan, hello. Mike Hill, hello. Mr. Bentham, no particular order. Stanlock, Groundhog Day, Jurassic Park, Nightmare Before Christmas, Fugitive, TMNT 3, Hot Shots Part 2, Demolition Man, Hocus Pocus, and Cool Runnings. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of those are on my list. And others on your list I had to leave off. So, Mr. Bentham, what is up? Hound 3000, good to see you. Ms. Marine Muses, one of my partners in crime for D&D, good to see you. If I ever to do a classic movie list, that would be interesting. I don't think I'd be able to do that with Stieg because most of my classic movies would fall, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I like
Oh, I
literally
watched
rewatching.
way more of those lately. So,
Mhm. I've been
and
rewatching Wizard of Oz recently, so that's from 1939,
yeah,
and
that
I've
one's
seen
good.
I've seen quite a few. I've seen movies from every decade. I've actually seen movies from every decade.
Yeah, me too. But probably just one or two from the first.
I've seen a lot of shorts. I watched a lot of old shorts for like Laurel and Hardy and things like that, and
Oh yeah,
Fatty Arbuckle, and those classic shorts, basically from the teens before there was sound, and then you go into the 1920s, and then I think one of the first sound pictures was the first Dracula film from 1931. It's like I'm not saying it was the first one, but it was one of the first ones when they were introducing sound. To answer
so
Abomination's fave Buster Keaton movie, I'd probably have to say, shoot. It's a toss up between is it Sherlock Jr. or Sherlock Holmes Jr.? I think it's Sherlock Jr. and I think it's Little General. He's one of my favorites, so it's kind of hard, but it'd be a toss up, I think, between those two.
Steamboat Willie would count as well with
Mm-hmm.
the Mickey Mouse
Oh
one.
yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's Snow White. That's the first full length Disney animated film.
37, is it?
It's not on my list. Yeah, it was 1937. But Super Mario Brothers, I've seen it, but it did not make my list. I could not even add it. There are movies where they're so bad it's good, and it doesn't quite reach that for me. It's bad. I love Bob Hoskins, so I kind of feel bad for saying that, but it's does not quite reach the so bad it's still good. Kay Roberts, hello, good to see you. Gollum and Buster Keaton, Scary House, yeah, shorts. So there's a film that I wish I could find. It's a German film called Mabuse the Gambler, things like that. But there's the sequel I really love called The Testament of Dr. Mabuse. So yeah. Oh, it would be a lot more difficult than you can imagine, Terra Crystal, just because, like I said, of the fact of how many I've seen. I am not. When I say I've seen a lot, I'm not being facetious. I'm not exaggerating. I've seen a lot of classic films. I would include Maltese Falcon, Across the Pacific, Stalag 17, Something Like It Hot. It's mad. When I say I've seen a lot, I've seen a lot.
I've probably seen 50 all in all, something like
I've
that.
seen way more than that. I've seen way more than that because I pretty much grew up on when American Movie Classics was actually showing classic movies and Turner Classic Films.
Yeah. Gold.
So like I said, I grew up on those channels. Charlie Chan Mysteries, absolutely loved those. Alfred Hitchcock movies. Like I said, I can't narrow it. I'd have to take probably a week or two to actually narrow down the list to just 10. That's how long I would need at least. Now AMC basically is primarily TV shows, and they started adding commercials in between the movies, during the movies, and it's I stopped watching. Pretty much stopped watching AMC. Now it's basically exclusively TCM for those films. Since they don't, they have breaks in between films, but they don't show commercials during films. But anyway, again, so welcome everyone. Our top 10 films, personal top 10 films from 1993. So, as we normally do, Stieg rolls a d20 to see who goes first.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna keep making him do it, even though he like feels like I get lucky every damn time. Like there's always a first.
1 to 10 or 11 to 20?
1 to 10.
6.
The die loves me here and it hates me during the game sessions sometimes. But anyway, okay, so like I said, I have like basically I think I have like 3 big, like actual, like legitimately 3 big movies that came out in 1993 that I had to include. Honorable mention for number 10, I would say would be the Tom and Jerry film that came out that year, just because of like pure nostalgia. I grew up watching those cartoons, Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes, and things like that. And the Tom and Jerry movie that came out in 1993, I watched quite a bit. However, that's an honorable mention because number 10, I had to include this film because of just the acting is like incredible. And it's set during an historical time period in America's life. The score is phenomenal by Randy Edelman, and that is Gettysburg from 1993. Jeff Daniels looks like basically Colonel Chamberlain walked off the history book pages onto the film. That's how close he looked to like the actual Chamberlain that lived during that time. Martin Sheen plays Robert E. Lee. You have Tom Berenger as General Longstreet. I'm blanking on the actors. Stephen Lang as General Pickett, who had some of the best lines in that movie. So, let's see. Homeward Bound, that's on my list. Nowhere to Run. Hello, Sonic Jaded. Good to see you.
Gettysburg is a movie I've almost watched several times this year, but it's the length. So it's a bit of a,
it like in terms of length, it is long, but to me, it does not feel as long as it is. Because it draws you in, like I said, the acting all around, even for like basically the secondary roles, is phenomenal. Some of the lines are just hilarious. There's one line where you have these basically deserters from the Union Army that were caught and basically they're forced to rejoin. And the one played by John Deal is telling Chamberlain why. He's giving his explanation as to why, and he said he's talking about the military leaders, and he said they're, to paraphrase, I can't remember the exact line, but to paraphrase that they're too stupid to they can't figure out how to pour piss out of a boot with instructions written on the heel. So, and I'm like, as a military vet myself, I'm like, I feel you. I fucking feel you, because I look at some of the military leaders, the officers, and I'm like, how the fuck did you survive? How the fuck did you manage to get an officer rank? That line resonated with me, the more I watched it, especially after joining the military, because I'm like, yep, they are too stupid. They can't figure it out. But, like I said, it's Tom Berenger, especially, I would say, stands out to me just because of the fact that he's actually, I think, one of the most underrated actors. In basically film history, because he went from playing General Longstreet. Like, you were looking at how he looks playing General Longstreet, and then a few years later, he's cast in the TV movie for Rough Riders, where he's portraying Teddy Roosevelt. I'm like, that's the same actor. Holy shit! He's good. He can become a role. So it's without and I'm not gonna really go into the plot necessarily, because you crack open a history book, you'll know the plot of Gettysburg. Basically, it's during the time of the Civil War, around the kind of before and during the events of the Gettysburg War that happened from July 2nd through July 4th, which included Pickett's charge, and that was one of the most devastating, biggest devastations that the Confederate Army faced, and the turning of the tide for the Union Army. So, because I remember he mentioned July 4th, I believe. So hold on, let me see. Hold on. Can I type, please? I hate you so much. Thank you. Battle of Gettysburg. Yeah, July 1st to July 3rd, because I remember, like, when I was reading about the accounts, they were, like, talking about how, like, it was, like, ironic that it was occurring around the time of the, July 4th, Independence Day for America. And you had Pickett's, charge. Oh, yeah, like I said, look at Behringer. Okay, yeah, so I was, like, I got, like, the slight dates wrong, but I was, like, it was early July. And my dad, when he was actually studying he was going to Gettysburg Seminary, because originally he was going to, like, join, like, placing, how do I put this? He was studying theology. He stayed in Gettysburg basically in Gettysburg Seminary, and he recounted some times where he's heard noises of sounding like someone wearing boots walking up and down the steps. So, but they're at Gettysburg, so they can without going into the plot, because, like you said, you just crack open a history book, you know the plot of Gettysburg. So, there it is. But I said the acting is phenomenal all around, both. And we visited Gettysburg, and yeah, it is indeed haunted. It is indeed haunted. So I'd like to go back to revisit Gettysburg. But yeah. But like I said, Jeff Daniels looks like Chamberlain walked off the pages. And all around the Confederate side, I wish they included what Lincoln wrote to, I believe, Grant. Was it Grant? Or was it, no, it was, what Union general he wrote to. I am so blanking, because at one point, like, Lincoln wrote to one of the Union generals and said, if you're not going to use the army, do you mind if I borrow it? Because he was, like, getting fed up with Meade. Thank you. He was getting fed up with Meade. He wrote in a letter to Meade, like, if you're not going to use the army, do you mind if I borrow it? Because Meade wouldn't do anything. He would, like, basically, he was, like, very cautious, like, too, like, overly cautious. So Lincoln's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to kind of relieve you of your command if you don't do something. So, and Randy Edelman was, like, his score was phenomenal. So, yeah, that's why Grant was eventually put in charge, like, because Meade wouldn't do anything, or at least he was slow to act, way too slow to act, and that's cool. Fuck Norris. Yeah, so I would have liked to have seen some of the interactions that occurred around that time, but they didn't include it. But it's like you can only include so much, without it being like basically a two-parter film. So, but yeah, that is my number 10, Gettysburg.
Yeah, well, your number 10 is no doubt better than mine. I have American Cyborg Steel Warrior.
Well, like I said, it's a subjective list. So
yeah, it's a friend of mine had an original copy of it on VHS. I don't know where the heck he got it, because that alone is a feat. But it's a blatant Terminator ripoff set in the future. So basically, if Terminator happened in the future, we see in Terminator almost. It's dumb, really dumb. Basically, this lady is the last fertile lady that they know of, and she's carrying a fetus in a jar. And a cyborg's hunting her down, while this Chippendales looking guy is protecting her. And they also run into radioactive mutant cannibals, as well as acid rain on their journey to, they have to get to the ocean so that someone from Europe will pick up the fetus in a boat. That's the plot. The guy who plays the cyborg is great, actually. He's awesome. He could have been in a Terminator movie and done well. The soundtrack is awesome. The sets are very good. The action is good, so it's kind of. I think it's the last movie Canon made. Remember that studio? Did a lot of cheap sci-fi action movies.
What studio?
Canon.
I don't think I quite remember that studio. I remember Full Moon.
Yeah, well, Canon was basically. I think they did a lot of early Van Damme movies, like Cyborg. I think was done by Canon, but it's a completely ridiculous movie, but it's awesome. It's kind of like that movie you had me watch with that had with the lesbian Amazon mutants cannibals in the sewer.
Yeah.
Ernie
Sorry to mute
Hudson-
myself. I had to respond to something. So yeah. So
Yeah, Ernie Hudson was in it.
yeah, I don't remember Canon Studios that much.
No,
It's
the
in-
movies.
it's in
The movie in tone is kind of like the one you had me watch.
Which one?
The one with the lesbian cannibal mutant Amazons in the sewer.
Oh, Amazon. Yeah, the Amazon Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death.
No.
Like that.
No,
that one?
Ernie Hudson was in it.
No, I didn't have you watch that one.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. You
that's the
watched the
only
wrong
one
one then. You watched the wrong one then, because the one I'm thinking about
No.
had Shannon Tweed and Adrian Barbeau.
No, but that's not the one I'm talking about.
I know, but I did not have you watch the one you're talking about.
You did, because that's the only one that's the reason I watched it.
No. I told you watched the wrong one.
I watched both.
Yeah, but I did not tell you to watch the one. The only one I told you to watch was the one with Adrian Barbeau. I did not tell you to watch the other one. That's not something I watch.
Well, you had it on your top 10.
What are you talking about?
I think it had the lady from. Well, it was a sci-fi movie.
It doesn't narrow it down.
Yeah, it had Michael Ironside was the villain.
Oh, god damn. You talking about Space Hunter?
Yes, it's like that
Oh
one.
my
in
god.
tone.
How the fucking description you were giving? God damn. No, yes.
Yeah, well, it had the lesbians in the sewer.
They weren't lesbians. They were Amazon women.
Oh, fine.
They called him a breeding man. They weren't fucking lesbians. Jesus Christ.
Well, still, it's like that one in tone.
I'm wondering what the hell you're talking about, lesbians in the sewer. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been years. But it's like that one in tone. So if you like that one,
fine.
you're probably going to like this one a lot too.
The one that had Shannon Tweed was the Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death. That
Yeah.
one's like it was also starred Adrian Barbeau and Bill Maher is in it as well. So
Yeah.
I
That
was
one
only
was-
confused because he was saying stuff that was not part of the plot at all.
Yeah, well, I
Anyway.
got it half right because they were, mutant, weren't they?
No, they weren't. They were just women. Like they weren't really mutant. They just lived in that area.
Well, anyway, if you like that one, you'll like American Cyborg Steel Warrior.
Okay.
And American Cyborg Steel Warrior probably has a bigger budget.
Probably. Yeah, like because he was calling them mutants. I was wondering what the hell he was talking about. So
I
was
thought
like
they
he
were
made me-
lesbian Amazon mutants, cannibals or something.
Yeah, like he was describing that, and I'm like, so I thought he was talking about the other movie, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So he confused me. Anyway, number 9.
Yeah, number 9. I actually removed one that's probably on your list from my number 9 earlier, and replaced it with a movie called Falling Down with Michael Douglas. It's about a guy working. Well, he has a regular job, and he's stuck in in traffic when it's really hot. So he's basically getting more and more irritated, and he snaps. He just walks off, eventually beats up a guy, Then he beats a guy up with a baseball bat later on, and then he uses a knife on another one, and then a gun, and then explosives. So it's actually a little bit of a story of man's history in violence. Because we started with fists, right? Then we got sticks, and then we got knives, right? And so on and so on. Michael Douglas gives a 10 out of 10 performance, and we learn later on in the movie that he wasn't right in the head before he snapped. You know, it had taken some time, and I think his family had a restraining order on him. So it's a psychological thriller, I'd say. Kind of maybe Douglas's most violent role, and he looks like a regular guy, you know, ordinary, boring guy that snaps and goes kind of berserk. Maybe a 10 out of 10 movie for its genre. I think maybe Douglas was nominated for an Oscar, or maybe he won. I'm not sure. He should have been. In any case, but yeah, Falling Down. It's well worth a watch if you haven't seen it, for anyone in the chat and for you as well.
Okay.
It does not have lesbian mutants, though.
Well, thank you for clarifying that. But my number 9 is a comedy with Bill Murray. And I don't know if you've seen it, but Groundhog Day. Where Bill Murray plays a weatherman.
Yeah.
He's not the nicest guy. He's egotistical, and he's like I said, he's a weatherman, and he's tasked year after year after year to go to Punxsutawney to cover the quote unquote ceremony of the groundhog's, like, you know, does it see its shadow or not, basically. So, and some divine intervention happens, and he's forced to repeat Groundhog's Day. And over the course of repeating Groundhog's Day, basically comes to, it's kind of like one of those like movies where it's like he sees himself for what he is, basically. He sees himself for what he is, how he's been acting, and he initially goes about it, it's like, you know, taking advantage of Groundhog's Day to get away with like committing crimes and things like that, because like, he repeats the day, so it's like, you know, it's not going to, basically nothing's going to happen to him. Then he goes about like basically through selfish means, where he's trying to win over Andy McDowell's character, but he does so basically through manipulation, basically. It's initially, so it's like basically it's kind of like this divine intervention was telling him like, you like absolutely have to change, and it also at one point shows him that there's some things you cannot change. So while you can change certain things about yourself and how you react to certain situations, there are other things that, if it's, you know, something like, you know, is going to like, you know, has to happen, it will happen no matter how you try to intervene. So he learns some hard lessons as he's progressing, and as he's progressing, he's changing. So basically, you actually see character growth over the course of the movie, despite the fact that he's repeating the day. So it's like he becomes a better person by the end of the actual movie. I think so. Yeah, I think so. So I think so. I think so, but like the movie itself doesn't completely like clarify it. It's been like a long time. So however long it is, he repeats that day. So, and so how does the movie end? Well, if you have not seen it, you should watch it. You should give it a watch. Yeah, like he meets his like old high school friend or someone he knew in high school, and every time, like, you know, like Bill Murray's characters, you know, gives the right answer or something like that, like correct answer, he goes bing. So yeah, I love when he punches the guy. That's my favorite part. But if you have not seen it, I'm not going to say how the movie ends. You need to give it a watch yourself. So Yeah, so that is my number 9, Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, Andy McDowell. It's a basically I would call it a dramedy. Basically, it's a comedy, but there's very much like I'd say like not overly dramatic, but dramatic moments because, like I said, the character has growth. So Ned Ryerson, yes. But anyway, that's my number 9, Groundhog Day. Anyway, my number 8 is Stig's favorite style of animation, anime. It's a film that came out in 1993. It was one of the first ones I had seen. It wasn't the first one, but it was one of the first ones I had watched. The actual first one that I had watched was an anime film called an anime version, Japanese version of the Three Godfathers movies. And like there's I think 2 adaptations of the film Three Godfathers, but basically the premise is they find an abandoned baby, and basically it's their journey of not only taking care of it, but taking it to some place that can take care of it. There's a version from I want to say the 1930s, and then there's a John Wayne version from a little bit later than that in Hollywood. It's called The Three Godfathers. But the movie I'm talking about for my list is My Neighbor Totoro. It came out in 1993. It's like these 2 sisters. I think about 10, and one's in the single digits or something like that. They're young, and their mother's in the hospital, recovering from like an illness that she's suffering from. So basically, they're living with their father, who's taking care of both of them. And one happens upon what looks like a big cat sort of looking creature, and it's what's known as a kami. I think it's pronounced kami. Kami. Basically, it's a spirit. Basically, it's like it's a spirit typically in animal form. Like at least in the one case, it's like animal form, and it's kind of like it's in a way for like they've encountered the spirit, but in a way for them to take their minds off of what's going on with their mother, sort of a situation, and growing closer as sisters. It ends on a happy note. So when I say that takes their mind off their mother, I'm not saying necessarily anything bad happens to the mother, but it's one of those it's kind of sort of encountering a spirit in the forest, as well as basically a movie focused on these 2 sisters. Yeah. So I it's a cute film. It's a cute film to watch. My Neighbor Totoro. Three Godfathers, I think, is worth the watch. It actually has a transvestite character. It's because it's 2 men and a young girl. They're all 3 homeless, and one of the men is gay, but he dresses like a woman. So it's he's a gay transvestite character. That was part of his character, but it wasn't the sole characteristic for his personality. Just letting you know, and which is what I appreciated about the film. It's just hey, this is this type of character, but that's not the focus. It's they're weird movies. They can be weird movies, but it's a cute film in my opinion, and I had to include it because it's one of the first few anime movies I've watched. So My Neighbor Totoro. But yeah, so that is my number 8.
Yeah, my turn, I guess.
I want to say overall, I don't remember Wayne's World 2 that well. So yeah, okay, you're number 8.
Yeah.
Right.
What?
So I was saying hello to someone who came into the chat. So number 8.
Yeah, my number 8 is one I watched in the cinema when it came out. The Last Action Hero.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that did not make my list because there were too many.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger and Charles Dance,
mm-hmm.
and tons of cameos. Tons of cameos in it. Basically, a kid is watching Jack Slater movies. He's a big fan of Jack Slater movies, which is movies played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, or a character played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he gets a magical cinema ticket at his local cinema from the old guy who works there, and it's supposed to. It was owned by Houdini, and it transports him into the movie. So all of a sudden, Jack Slater is real and all that stuff. And he gets Little Kid as a sidekick. It's I guess, fantasy action comedy would be how you would categorize it. Definitely a movie for the whole family because there's nothing lewd in it or anything. No blood. It's just fun, and it pokes fun at action movies,
Mm-hmm.
including movies Arnold was in. Later on, though, Charles Dance, the villain, figures out a way to get out of the movie into the real world, and Arnold and the kid has to do the same and chase him. However, Arnold's not bulletproof in the real world, right?
No.
So, fun movie. Nothing fantastic. Definitely rewatchable. And AC/DC
Yeah.
helped with the soundtrack, I believe, which was the only time AC/DC released a single. It was a Big Gun, which is used in the movie and also as a music video for the movie. So a little bit of trivia. But yeah, fun movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. So like I said, I had to leave it off my list because there's like a good number of movies.
Yeah,
that I need to include. So for different reasons.
it actually made my list because I had a lot of fun in the cinema when I watched it.
Mhm.
So, but well, I'm supposed to do 7, right?
Yep. Start.
Now, 7 is not something I watched in the cinema, and it's certainly not for the family to watch. It's a completely fucked up movie from Australia called Bad Boy Bubby.
I was like looking at American films and I completely forgot about that one. Yeah, it's completely fucking fucked up.
Yeah, it's one of the most fucked up movies I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
it's not necessarily fucked up because of what happens in it. It's because it's completely believable that it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Bubby is a guy in his 30s who's been raised by his mom.
Yeah.
Who also has sex with him.
I was gonna say it's a very incestuous relationship.
Yes. Yeah, the first 15 minutes are tough to watch.
Yes.
He's mentally 6 years old because he's not developed at all. He's been locked in an apartment with his mom, who basically fills his head with all kinds of bullshit. His dad shows up eventually, who is a priest. And his mom always puts on a gas mask when she leaves the home, and says there's because there's poison outside to keep Bubby from leaving the apartment. But he realizes the cat comes and goes, so he's like, why doesn't the cat die from poison? And the mom goes, nah, the cat doesn't breathe. So Bubby figures out if it doesn't breathe, then it's okay to wrap it in plastic, which he does. And he finds out,
that's
no,
hard for me to watch. Yeah.
The mom lied.
Yes.
So he wraps her up in plastic too. And the dad takes the dad's clothes and goes out into the world with a suitcase containing a plastic wrapped dead cat.
Yeah, it's like that part, I'm not saying that I could stomach watching the incestuous part, but people know me, know my reactions to what happens to animals. So that was hard for me to watch. But otherwise, the movie is it's one of those movies where it's you can't look away.
You can't look away, and you can't not laugh.
Yeah.
Because it's so fucked up that it crosses a line that you just have to laugh. I remember I had watched it on Norwegian TV, and a couple of my friends had watched it as well at the same time, and they were in different parts of the country, and they called me. I was watching the movie on TV, and they were crying. They were laughing so hard because basically he picks up lines that people say to him, and then he reuses them in other situations later on where they're not appropriate at all.
Yeah.
Right. So Um, it's I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10 because the acting is superb, especially by the lead, who is also in Ash versus Evil Dead. By the way, he plays Professor Nobi.
Hmm. I don't know if
Um,
this is like YouTube like auto correcting it, but it's Bad Boy Bubby,
yeah, it's Bobby, not
Bubby,
Puppy.
Bubby. Yeah, so it's like no, it's not like he's a Terminator. It's just like, it's like he's mentally stunted,
Yeah,
but somehow, but it's like even in the inappropriate situations, it somehow works.
yeah, he's a kid
Yeah,
basically.
and so
So think of a very hard R-rated Step Brothers with just one of them,
yeah,
I
pretty
guess.
much.
It also won a bunch of awards. But the situation now of a fucked up parent locking the kid up and keeping the kid a secret in a basement apartment, that is completely believable. We've seen it on the news
Yeah,
several times, right?
yeah. So yeah, that part is believable. So it's
Yeah,
like
and it's
not
also
not
oddly
that much of a stretch of
philosophical.
yeah, it's not that much of a stretch of an imagination, especially if the parent is like been mentally abusing the child to the point where it's like like I said, he's mentally stunted.
Yeah,
So
but a great movie, but quite often it's tough to watch, but it is hilarious.
yes,
So anyway, if someone wants to watch an obscure movie, well, it's not obscure now; it's a cult classic.
yeah.
But yeah,
So uh, my number 7 is a movie that I told people if you included it on your 1992 list, you cannot include it on this. But I included it on this one because it's part of a trilogy that I very much enjoy, and that is Army of Darkness. It is very much tonally different from the first two. The first one is basically like in tonally like basically straight up horror movie. It's low budget horror movies, one of Sam Raimi's first movies, starring Bruce Campbell. Then the second one basically is a soft reboot of like basically the Evil Dead movies, because they kind of like change they alter some of the facts and they shift the tone a bit. So basically, it's more of like a horror comedy in the second one, and then the third movie, Army of Darkness, where Ash is transported from present day to the Middle Ages. Hey Sam, can't remember if I said hello to you or not, but where Ash is transported to the Middle Ages, it's more of a tongue-in-cheek comedy, essentially, with some horror elements. So basically, you can see the tonal shift from the first movie to the third movie. But overall, I still enjoy the third movie because it's literally a fish out of water with Deadites in terms of the plot, where Ash is transported to the Middle Ages. He has a chainsaw for it's part of his hand, which is not something that they've seen living back then. He encounters King Arthur during his adventures. He has to retrieve the Necronomicon, and to do so, he has to say 3 words. And for those who have, the 3 words are an allusion to another a classic science fiction film. I'm going to say the 3 words, and if you know what film I'm talking about, then you're okay in my book. And that's Klaatu Barada Nikto. Those 3 words harken back to a classic sci-fi film. So, but he's supposed to say those words, and he basically butchers the 3rd word. And because he butchers the 3rd word and takes the Necronomicon without saying the words correctly, then all hell literally breaks loose, and he has to combat Deadites with the help of King Arthur and his men, as well as Eric the Red and his men, and hopefully get back to present day. Shop smart, shop S smart. So yeah, so like I said, if you know those words and you know the film they are in, you're okay. Like I said, you're okay in my book. But so every time I hear those words, I laugh because I know what they allude to. But yeah, so I had to include Army of Darkness in this list for number 7.
I almost had it on my list, but the more I watch the movie, the less I like it.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those, like, I watch it, like, every so often. I don't watch it a lot. I prefer actually the first and the second movies in the trilogy, but
Yeah, me too.
I still enjoy, for the most part, the third one. Cicerone's a kicksteak. I still enjoy the third one. Like I said, it depends on your preference of tone, because you do see the tonal shift from the first to the third movies. So
I just thought it got too cartoony at the halfway point, and then yeah.
there it is. All right.
Keep in mind, I've watched it 40 times though, so it's not like I hate it. It's just that I like it less every time I watch it, but I like Evil Dead 2 more every time I watch it.
So, but anyway, so we're on number 6. And sorry, I'm kind of speeding through. So like I said, my allergies are kicking my ass. So right now, kicksteak anyway. Yeah. So the 6th movie is a Western, and while I've said before that, like, I'm not necessarily a big fan of the Western genre necessarily. It's not my go-to. There are Western movies that I absolutely love, and this is one of them, and that is Tombstone.
That's my number 2.
So I'll only talk about a little bit. I'll only talk about a little bit so you can talk about number 2. But basically, it stars Kurt Russell, Bill Paxton, and Sam Elliott as the Earp brothers, and they're basically, like, trying to clean up this town. Basically, they're the law. Okay, they become the law. You have Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday. It's one that I'd say Val Kilmer is probably the best part, like, in terms of, like, the good guys, essentially, of the main cast, like the Earps and the Holiday. Like, he's, like, stands out. Every fucking scene he does, he stands out. Michael Biehn is a phenomenal in his role, and basically it's the lead up and the actual event of the gunfight at the OK Corral. Is it historically accurate? Not really. Not really historically accurate. Like, you don't get your history from Hollywood, but it is entertaining as hell. It's a very good movie. Like I said, Val Kilmer stands out in every scene he does. Every scene he's part of. Everyone, does a good job in their respective roles. Like, it's almost like near perfect casting in this movie. And like I said, it's very entertaining. It's a very entertaining portrayal of the events for the gunfight at the OK Corral. Yeah.
Would you agree if I said that Kurt Russell and Michael Biehn deliver a 10 out of 10 while Val Kilmer delivers an 11?
Well, yeah, I'm saying, I'm not saying, when I say Val Kilmer still the scene, I'm not just, like, trying to take that away from, like, the other performances, because it's, like I said, it's, like, near perfect casting all around in this movie, where, like, Michael Biehn's phenomenal, Kurt Russell's very good. Like, he is, like, extremely good as Wyatt Earp. And you are hooked pretty much from start to finish in the film.
Yeah, I mean, hell, just the side cast too. Ontario Quinn is in it, I think.
Yeah, I'm saying,
Billy Zane.
Yeah, the entire casting basically is. Yeah. It's like there are a few films where I can say it was like perfect casting, and this is one of them. So yeah, Costers is more historical and way too long. Like I said, it's like this one is the more entertaining of the two. But it's not historically accurate.
Billy Bob Thornton's in it, getting smacked by Kurt Russell. That's all he does in the movie. Yeah, so it's like I said again. Like I keep telling people, do not get your history from Hollywood at all. But that's not to take away from any enjoyment you have for the movies. Like, for example, I love the movie Amadeus. Absolutely love that film, Amadeus. Not historically accurate in the slightest, really. A lot of liberties were taken, but the movie itself is like a near perfect film for me. Yeah. Oh yeah, Luke Perry was in it too.
Yeah, it's the same with this movie. All right, I can look past the fact that like they take liberties with the actual history and just watch it as the entertaining account it is, basically. Yeah, so it's
you know what he actually does in that one? Mm-hmm. When he does the cup movements, he actually mimics what Ringo did perfectly with the gun.
Yeah.
So he's not just mocking it; he's actually also copying it.
Yeah. I hate to burst your bubble, Gnomesky, but yes, Braveheart is not historically accurate. So there it is. That's my number 6, Tombstone.
Yeah. Awesome.
And it's your number 6.
My number 6, flat out action movie by John Woo, I think. Hard Target with Van Damme and Lance Henriksen. Henriksen steals the show and then some. He is fantastic in this movie. The action is superb. Is basically Lance Henriksen and his crew gets paid by rich people to organize human hunts. Usually they'll hunt the homeless people and stuff. The homeless people get money, and they're like, if you make it from A to B, you get to keep the money.
Yeah.
Or we'll try to kill you on the way. The guy from The Mummy is in it too, Arnold Vosloo or something.
Vislu, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Vosloo. I can't remember, but I know what you're talking about. I actually saw a movie on. It was like one of those good bad movies. I think it was on the Comet Channel, but anyway, it was like really weird seeing him with hair. I just remember he was in that movie, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so weird.
Yeah, and Gnomesky says Van Damme's mullet was untouchable in that movie. Yes, it is. Abomination. It is a bit like Running Man, in a way, but it's done illegally. Well, Running Man was on TV, right? So this is takes place in I think it's New Orleans. Pure action, no depth to the story really. If you're a fan of Lance Henriksen, you'll probably be a bigger fan of his after this one, because he is.
Yeah, I like Lance Henriksen. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a big fan of his, but I do like his acting. So he's very good.
But this is probably one of his better acting roles, to be honest.
Okay. It says to take on the most dangerous game. Okay, that's what it sounds like. Have you read Most Dangerous Game?
I haven't read it. You haven't seen Hard Target?
No. I was never really a big Jean-Claude Van Damme fan, so it's like I never really had an inclination to watch most of his movies.
I think you'd really like this one. It's not a martial arts movie, though. He does some martial arts.
I do know Most Dangerous Game, so if that's what that plot is, and that intrigues me, because it's I enjoy that short. It's like a short story.
Yeah. So it's and you get to see him punch a snake because he's that good and that quick.
Okay.
Yep. And Wilford Brimley plays his. I think it's his uncle, who's a Cajun that makes moonshine. So he teams up with them as well.
This plot sounds very interesting.
Yeah, Hard Target, straight up action movie. Very, very rewatchable. And I'm supposed to do 5 now, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, 5 is. I keep recommending this movie to people, but nobody's taken the bait yet. It's Romeo is Bleeding. It is a crime thriller with Gary Oldman in the lead. Supporting roles by Juliette Lewis, Lena Olin, Roy Scheider's in it. Michael Wincott is in it. Bunch of people. Gary Oldman plays a cop who is crooked as hell. He steals money, embezzles. He does everything you're not supposed to do as a cop. And he has a little box in his garden where he buries his money. And then he spends the nights dancing over it. I shit you not. He runs afoul of pretty much everyone. The plot thickens and the walls come crumbling in on him. Lena Olin being the biggest danger. She's a very very well, downright evil former KGB lady who's trying to make money from the mob in the US. Um, she's almost a female Terminator, to be honest, and probably steals the show. It's dark as hell, almost like a Tarantino movie, to be honest. Um, some fucked up kills in there, including where she uh, chops a lady's arm off just to get a fingerprint from her. So that's yeah,
Okay.
dark as hell crime thriller with Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman's fantastic in it, and everyone else. It's at least an 8 out of 10, but it's an under the radar kind of movie. Now Romeo is bleeding.
Okay. The only movie I know other than like the actual Shakespeare like story is Romeo Must Die. That's the only one I know. That's a Jet Li movie.
Yeah, this one's yeah. It's I'm not sure what to compare it to, uh, but I really think you'd like it
Okay.
because it has a plot. You know, there's
Mhm.
lots of pieces moving, and what this guy does affects this, and
Mhm.
pretty much everything affects Gary Oldman in a negative way. So he's getting more and more stressed out and keeps lying and lying and lying and breaking the law.
Okay.
And yeah, he's driven to the point of madness near the end.
All right.
So anyway, Romeo is bleeding.
Okay. My number 5 is a movie I watched a lot growing up. I even still quote it for the most part, even today. You're killing me, Smalls. I would say that repeatedly to my mom, especially when she asked me to run errands, and she would always add to the list of things I would have to get for her. So every time she would do that, I would like text back, "You're killing me, Smalls," to the point where she actually got me a shirt that says that. And that, yes, that is Sandlot from 1993. Basically, it's narrated by the adult version, like basically of one of the kids. So he's recounting this one summer where like he's moved with his mom and his stepdad, basically because his mom had like recently remarried, and so he's new to the neighborhood. And there's like these boys that's basically play pickup baseball games at the Sandlot in the neighborhood, and he basically befriends. Yeah, trolled by mom. Yeah, befriends the boys, and they're basically an eclectic group of friends. Like you have like the nerdy looking kid that they call Squints. The chubby kid is the catcher basically, and they are a mix of different personalities. The nerdy kid, Squints, has a major crush on this like teenage girl in the neighborhood to the point where he basically very much sneaks a kiss on her when when she's giving him mouth to mouth at the pool. So like if you've seen that movie, you know that iconic scene.
I think it was Sarkeesian or someone tried to get that movie canceled
Something like that.
because of
Yeah.
that scene,
Yeah.
because it was teaching guys to use trickery to molest women.
I know, but he's a teenage girl that lives in the neighborhood, and she's a lifeguard, and he has like a major crush on her to the point where he when the adult version of what's the boy's name, but the one who's narrating it says that the nerdy kid actually married Wendy Peppercorn, and they have like 9 kids or something like that. And he's recounting that summer, and then he ends with talking about where they ended up. Basically, as they grew older, and basically the point where they all moved away, and Benny Rodriguez would still play the one that was really good at baseball. It's a kid. It's technically a sports movie, but it's more of a coming of age movie. Tara Crystal. It's these are the main characters are kids, and it's like, recounting the one summer. Dennis Leary plays the stepdad. James Earl Jones is part of it. He's the neighbor that's like, there's like these like stories about, like, don't hit the ball over, like, over the fence, because like how, like, mean he is, how like mean his dog is, and things like that, and like, find out, what actually is going on. And he has like one of the best scenes in the movie. But it's more of a coming of age story than a sports story. They just happen to be playing baseball. It could be pretty much any sport at that point. It's just they happen to play baseball. It's because it's more focused on their interactions as friends, growing, like, basically growing to get, like, closer, like, together as friends, like, as a group, and like what they would do over the summer other than, like, the pickup games and things like that. So it's a cute coming of age movie. And like some like pretty funny scenes in that film. So yeah, I'd say check it out sometime. It's not so much a sports movie as it is like, this coming of age and giving a kid a chance of friendship. So, because the kid who's like moved, like I said, he's the adult version is the one narrating the movie. So he's recounting like one of the best summers he's had. So there it is. That's my number 5, The Sandlot. My number 4 is a single that Orange Hat and I just covered, but I had to include it because it's one of my favorite films, and I absolutely love Tim Burton. I love his aesthetics, more so than anything most of the time, just because I love the cinematography he creates in his films, and that is The Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm not going to go too in depth into the plot, because I would say if you want to go, like, get my thoughts on the actual plot, I would suggest watching, if you can. I'm not sure, because Orange Hat does his the streams through X. I'm not sure if once they're not live, if you can go back and watch them, but we like give our thoughts on that movie, and the lessons Jack Skellington learns, and the voice acting, the fact that Danny Elfman does the singing voice for Jack Skellington, and he basically sounds a lot like Chris Sarandon, who does the speaking parts for Jack Skellington. Catherine O'Hara does both singing and voice acting lines of Sally, so that's pretty damn impressive. And another, like, and the songs, and I think, for the most part, stand out. Yeah, that was 93. Yeah, 93, and still dominates the holiday decorations. It dominates decorations for in general for both October, for Halloween, and Christmas for some people, because not this year, but the previous year, my neighbors had like one of those big Jack Skeletons in the yard. When I say big, I mean like really tall Jack Skeleton for Halloween in his Jack Skeleton, tuxedo, or basically suit. And then once Halloween was done, they put the Santa Claus suit on him, so it worked for both Halloween and Christmas. Yeah, she also did the voice for Shock. So, but she both sang and did the speaking parts. So, pretty fucking good. I think you mean Oogie Boogie, not Oingo Boingo. I think you mean Oogie Boogie. Yeah, Oogie Boogie Man. So. All right, yeah. So Orange Hat says you can. So if you want a more in-depth, impression of what my thoughts on the movie, there's that. But yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas, my number 4.
Yeah, my number 4 is an ensemble movie, Shakespeare movie called Much Ado About Nothing. It's one of Shakespeare's comedies. Mm-hmm. Basically, a comedy of errors and mistakes, assumption. Mm-hmm. Stars Kenneth Branagh, Emma Thompson, Brian Blessed is in it. Denzel Washington.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
And Keanu Reeves. Kate Beckinsale does her first movie in this. and Michael Keaton playing a crazy local vigilante, self-appointed cop. I guess it's fucking
In a way.
retarded.
In a way.
Yeah, it's maybe a good introduction to people when it comes to Shakespeare, because it's more light than a lot of the other ones.
Yeah, I can see that in terms of, I guess, like it's one of his comedies.
Yeah,
My preference goes towards the tragedies. I tend to go towards Hamlet and Macbeth.
yeah. Keanu Reeves stinks in it.
Yes, he does.
He's horrible. He tries to do an English accent and fails. Even
Yes.
worse so than what Kevin Costner did with Robin Hood. And yeah, but
Steve
everyone
had
else.
Last Action Hero on his list. No, I didn't because I had to narrow it down. But yeah, so continue. Sorry, yeah, Keanu Reeves is like, it's kind of like his portrayal in Bram Stoker's Dracula. He is the weakest part.
Yes, it's actually almost exactly like that, except he tries to play a villain uh, in a way, but it's just
No, like the movie Steve's talking about is Much Ado About Nothing, the film adaptation of one of Shakespeare's plays. But in terms of performance, when talking about Keanu Reeves, it very much is like talking about Bram Stoker's Dracula, and that he is the weakest part in that film.
Yeah,
Oh.
but by a mile, because most of the actors in the movie are stage actors. But Michael Keaton does he's very good as a loony. But
what role, like actually, shows people that like not Keanu, but Michael Keaton would be good at playing like a loony type of character, and that is his performance in Night Shift.
Oh yeah, hell yes.
So it's like you watch that film and then you're like, he was like born to play loony characters because he does it so fucking well.
Yeah, but this is I guess it's a rom-com.
It's kind of, yeah. It's basically like the four categories for Shakespeare's plays are tragedy, comedy, history. What else? Tragedy, history, comedy. Because it's a kind of like a romantic comedy, but he didn't really do like romance as a category. Like for like people like mistake like that about Romeo and Juliet. I'm like, no, Romeo and Juliet's a tragedy.
Yeah.
So it'd be more of it's like a comedy. It'd be he'd be one of his like comedy plays.
Yeah.
But with romantic elements in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like Taming of the Shrew, basically. So, like Taming of the Shrew and Midsummer Night's Dream, basically.
Yeah.
But
worth a watch if you want some light entertainment. Everything's done well except Keanu Reeves. 8 out of 10. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Actually, Keanu Reeves played the sober stoner time traveling teenager, if you're talking about the Bill and Ted movies, before this movie.
Yeah.
So he did a worse character after those.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying I love Bill and Ted, but I'm just correcting you. It's not before, it's after.
Yeah, he is miscast. Simple as that.
Yes.
But yeah, that was my number 4.
Okay, so now we're on to number 3. You start this.
Yeah. My number 3 is another great cinema experience I had back in the day when I still went to cinema. Cliffhanger. I can't begin to tell you how good this one was in the cinema because all the shots from the steep cliffs and all that stuff, climbing scenes, they give you vertigo in the cinema.
Yeah.
Directed by Renny Harlin. Stallone plays a mountain climber rescue kind of guy. who previously lost Michael Rooker's girlfriend off a cliff, kind of. So he's kind of struggling psychologically with that when the main story starts. And John Lithgow plays the villain. Him and his crew rob a plane in midair with another plane. That whole sequence is fantastic. Something goes awry. They lose the big crates of money and have to find them after they have crashed. So they trick the mountain climbers into helping them. That being Michael Rooker and Stallone.
Yeah.
John Lithgow as the villain is fantastic. He's not a physical threat to Stallone, but he plays an intellectual, ruthless villain, and it works. He steals the show.
Would you say it's kind of like Dennis Hopper in Speed, where it's like physically he's not like a threat?
Yeah,
but he's very like much mentally one.
Yeah, he even kills his own people at one point.
Yeah,
just because it gives him an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So, but awesome movie, great rewatchability, great action, superb cinematography and soundtrack. And if you ever get a chance to watch this one in the cinema, if it's being re-released or something, do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Ruthless Intellectual, yes. All right. My number 3 is another, well, kids film, but I had to include it because I watched it a lot when I was growing up. It's somewhat of a tearjerker, but it's basically from the perspective of 3 family pets, and that is Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. You have basically Shadow the dog, voiced by Don Amici. Chance, like kind of like, it looks like a pit bull mix, basically, voiced by what the fuck? Hello, hello, good to see you. Interesting picture and name. Chance, basically looks like a pit bull mix, voiced by Michael J. Fox, and the family cat, voiced by Sally Field. So. I again, I've read both. I think I read the book, but I very much enjoy the movie. It's a nice family film, basically. And the premise is, the family is basically they're going away on vacation. They can't take the pets, so they're like leaving the pets with a family friend who's going to watch them. However, the pets themselves don't understand this fact and think they are being abandoned. And to the point where it's like, they feel like they have to escape and make their way back to their owners, their family. And that's basically what starts the incredible journey. Like I said, it's told from the perspective of the pets, and like you're like hearing their thoughts, like in the voices, and you're voiced by Don Amici, Michael J. Fox, and Sally Field. Yes, it's a heartbreaker. It can be heartbreaker in some scenes, basically. It has its charming moments. It has its potentially heartbreaking moments, like tearjerker moments, because you're following these pets, and at the same time you have the kids who are just basically emotionally distraught because where are the dogs and the cat, the animals that they love, their pets, they're the little, I guess, quote unquote fur babies. They don't use that term, but they're emotionally distraught at all this because they have no idea where their pets are. Oh, for fuck's sakes. But anyway, so it's, not going into necessarily details. It's like I said, nice family friendly movie. And if you Sally Field is an idiot, but if you can stomach her voicing the cat, she can be funny, basically. And it's very funny, their interactions amongst the 3. In terms of personalities, because Shadow is he's the golden retriever, and he's the older of the 3, so he's the sage, wise one, basically the calming presence. Sally Fields voices the cat, and well, she's kind of like a, how do I put this? A priss, pretty much. But she still like, she still like, loves like the two dogs essentially. And Chance, it's the puppy, the younger dog, voiced by Michael J. Fox. So he has the boundless energy, and he has to basically be reeled back in by the other two. So, like, if you haven't seen it, I'd say give it a watch, at least one watch. Kind of. I'd still put the edge to Homeward Bound just because of like nostalgia for me gives it that edge. But I do enjoy Babe. Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah. So Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey is my number 3. Right. My number 2. Don't at me with that. It's not my number 1. But one movie edged it out for various reasons. My number 2 is very much the movie you watch if you love dinosaurs.
Shit, you fucked my number 1 and 2.
There you go.
Poor choice of words. I realized after.
After you said it. Like,
yeah.
Phrasing.
Yeah.
Phrasing.
We're just friends, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't go too far into it. I'll leave it up to you because that's your number 1. But it's Jurassic Park. It's Jurassic Park. The movie version is very much different from the novel version. I've read the novel version after seeing the movie version, and like it's like I said, it's not necessarily tonally, but they do make changes to certain characters that, like, especially Hammond, that I think works better in the movie because you're supposed to care about what's happening to his park, and well, in the book, he's kind of like one of those not evil, but like he's very much a focus more on like not so much on like if the people are surviving, but like the financially what's happening to his park and things. Like he's not a nice character necessarily in the book. They make him a nicer character in the movie, which is why I prefer the movie to the book. Hold on to your butts, yes. So like I said, if you love dinosaurs, it's 1993, and those effects are better than most of what we see today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's like Iger in the book. He's very much like that. He's not someone you root for or care like what's actually happening to his park. But in the movie, you do because they make him sympathetic, and he actually cares about what's the fact that there's people out out in the park potentially could be potentially killed because there's dinosaurs running rampant at this point. But yeah, so but the special effects from that hold up even today, and like I said, are better than most special effects we get today. They just phenomenal. That's from 1993, 31 years. Better special effects.
If Jurassic Park hadn't happened, we would not have gotten the 98 Godzilla. Because
Probably
Jurassic
not.
Park opened the doors for a ton of things, including the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah, pretty much. Which I will flat out say here, when we get to those years, those prequels will not be on my list.
No, that's fair.
But yeah, so. But anyway, yeah, so like Jurassic Park, I'm not gonna say too much more because it's Sieg's number 1. And I'm gonna leave it to your number 2 since I ruined that as well. So go ahead.
Yeah, my number 2 is Tombstone. There's not too much else to say about it that hasn't been said. It's one of the best westerns ever made, in my opinion. They do everything right, despite having a very troublesome shoot. Actually, the director left and another one took over, and it wasn't good. I saw Michael Biehn talk about it in an interview recently. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a stunning amount of YouTubers that do reaction videos have not seen this, and Predator and The Lord of the Rings. Makes you wonder how many people actually watched it back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I've never seen this before. I actually caught one because I looked at when I was watching Predator. Like, yeah, I've never seen this before. This will be my first reaction. And then, like, 10 minutes in, he goes, I don't remember this part.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So it's a pandemic. Anyway, Tombstone number 2. I'm assuming everyone in the chat has watched it.
If not, then you need to watch it.
Yeah.
Like I said, like just because they say westerns aren't my go-to does not mean I don't have westerns I love, and Tombstone is one of them. I absolutely love Tombstone. So it's worth a watch. Even if you don't like westerns, it's worth a watch because it's a very good movie. Yeah, so before we go into our number ones, I'm going to go through my 10 through 2. Sequel go through is 10 through 2, and then we'll talk about our number ones. Starting with number 10, Gettysburg, Groundhog Day, My Neighbor Totoro, Army of Darkness, Tombstone, The Sandlot, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey, and Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I have American Cyborg Steel Warrior, Falling Down, The Last Action Hero, Bad Boy Bubby, Hard Targets, Romeo is Bleeding, Much Ado About Nothing, Cliffhanger, and Tombstone.
Yeah.
And my number 1 is Jurassic Park.
Yes, so.
Which is what I like to call a milestone movie. Because it's a perfect movie that kind of changes how movies are made in a way. And this is one of them. Terminator 2 was probably the previous one. You know, that altered how movies are made. Jurassic Park is perfect. It's flawless. The special effects, like you said, hold up today. It has aged incredibly well. And it's absolutely a classic that I hope they leave alone, that they never remake it.
Yeah.
The cast was spot on. The soundtrack was amazing. Everything is great about it. And I got to watch it in the cinema when it came out. And I'll tell you one thing, that was insane because you had never seen anything like it, right?
No, yeah, just when like when you first see, and I think it's a Brachiosaurus.
Yeah,
like the camera pans up as if like it's actually there. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, and it builds up the T-Rex too.
Yes.
You don't see it right away.
No.
And yeah, that was a hell. I got to see that one on Cliffhanger in the cinema the same year. But holy crap, Jurassic Park! It was. Well, I mean, it's kind of like imagine if you're used to watching, Police Academy or whatever, and all of a sudden you get to see a 3D movie for the first time, right? It was that big of a change to your sensors in a way.
Yeah.
So amazing. And yeah, that's my number 1. And it was kind of a no-brainer simply for all those things that I put it there. I just couldn't put it anywhere else. So yeah. Milestone movie, instant classic. It has aged perfectly. And it's here to stay for all time. This movie will not be forgotten.
Yeah. Well, the movie that edged it out for me, just because of.
Can I guess?
Okay, what?
Is it a Batman animated movie?
Yes. So it's because I love Batman. So it edged it just enough for it to be number 1. And that's Batman Mask of the Phantasm. What is with these accounts? Where does Jurassic Park stand for you? I love Jurassic Park. But it was my number 2. My number 1 is Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I'm not going to go too in-depth into the plot necessarily because I don't want to risk revealing anything. But it's from 1993. It's an animated film. It's the voice, the iconic voice acting from Kevin Conroy as Batman, Mark Hamill, even though he's a fucking jackass, as the Joker, and other voice acting basically. And it has a 10-year time jump because it starts with Bruce Wayne and meeting this woman named Andrea in the cemetery, and they kind of become engaged and things like that. But she breaks off the engagement abruptly, and it has a 10-year jump following that, and then you begin to see this masked vigilante start, like basically pop up in Gotham, called the Phantasm, basically. And who is the Phantasm? So it's kind of like a mystery, essentially, like who the Phantasm is, what's his goals, why is he doing things and things like that. The Joker as well, it's kind of part of it. But again, I really do not want to say too much about it. It's because if I do, I'll risk revealing things that, like, if you haven't seen the movie, might ruin. When I say ruin it for you, I mean like ruin the experience for you. But if you haven't seen it and you're a Batman fan, I recommend it. It's one of the best animated Batman films, basically bar none, in my opinion. It's very close second to that would be Under the Red Hood. But I think Mask of the Phantasm just edges it slightly. And I had to include it because, like I said, I'm a major Batman fan. I love Kevin Conroy. If you're a Batman fan and you're reading the comics and things like that, I dare you to not hear Kevin Conroy's voice when Batman is speaking. Just like I dare you, despite the fact that he's an asshole, I dare you not to hear Mark Hamill's version of the Joker when you're reading what Joker is saying. They are that iconic in their voice acting for these characters. So, whew. There it is. That is, like I said, I don't want to go again. Yeah, like I'm really very much glossing over the plot of this, like the movie, but at the same time, it's like so much happens in it that if I were to at all say too much, and you haven't seen it, it could ruin it for you. Because I risk revealing something that's like kind of a twist in the movie. But there it is. Batman: Mask of the Phantasm is my number one from 1993. So, and it's very much, I think Kevin Conroy stated that when he was doing the lines for when he's one of the scenes where he's in the cemetery, it moved basically the people behind the glass to tears because he's kind of invoking almost like a Shakespearean element to it in terms of how he was delivering the lines, and he killed it. Yeah, so there it is. Yeah, when cartoons had actual orchestral openings. Exactly. So there it is. That is my number one. Batman: Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, I didn't add it because I watched it way later in life,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't have the nostalgia for it, and I also need to rewatch it because I've only seen it once. I remember really liking it, so probably one that'll grow on me.
Yeah, I'd give it another watch.
Yeah,
I'd give it
I
another
watched
watch.
a bunch of Batman animated movies though in the last 5 years, but they kind of blur together after a while. If you watch 15 of them,
I guess so. But this one for me kind of stands out. Hey, Jody. I hope you enjoyed the replay because we're wrapping up here. But we counted our personal top 10 lists from 1993. Like I said, personal because the movies themselves might not be exactly stellar cinema, but we subjectively enjoy them. And normally I'm on camera, but I allergies are kicking my ass the entire day today. So basically when I jump off here, I'm going to pretty much pass out because I'm not feeling well, which is why I'm off camera. I've seen it. I have to rewatch that. I have to rewatch Sub-Zero. But for me, the top two are Mask of the Phantasm and Under the Red Hood. So, but there it is.
I need to get a Batman animated Blu-ray box, like a collection.
So I have my primary care physician through the VA, so I do see a doctor. And incidentally, I went to the VA optometrist back in March, April time frame. just got my glasses like a couple days ago because my eyesight got slightly better. So I was like, I'm gonna keep the same frames of sorts, but like, yeah. So send me a new pair. I just got them about 8 months later. 7, 8 months later, I just got them. And in about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, 5 to 6 months, I'll be going back to the optometrist because I see them once a year. So yeah, it's like almost pointless. It's almost pointless at this juncture because I'm like 4 or 5 months later, my eyesight might get better, and yeah, you just sent me glasses that I wouldn't be able to use for a little while. So yeah. But anyway, chat, thank you so much for joining us. Next Wednesday, the next 2 Wednesdays, as I said, I'll be doing the 1s and 2s with Orange Chat Reviews. We'll be talking the 2 Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes films that he did with Jude Law. So we'll be talking about those. And then for the singles, we'll be discussing the Final Fantasy films, which we normally do the Thursday after the 1s and 2s. But because the following week is Thanksgiving, we'll be doing the singles on Friday for that one, which is like the last week in November. So before I, let everybody know what to expect in terms of streams going to the end of the week, Steve, let everybody know where they can find you and all that fun stuff.
Sometimes on Teresa's channel, sometimes on Sporking's channel, and twice a month on your channel.
Yep. So we do
That's it.
Yep, Worldwide Weird News and this. And the next top 10 will be the top 10 1994 films.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm a kind of a get off my lawn kind of guy.
Pretty much, yeah, it is. He is. Yes, this is the first single, Advent Children, the director's cut. So we're doing that. This is my Discord. When I'm unable to stream or I just don't feel like streaming because I'm not feeling well, I'll do either offline gaming, which I have a gaming voice channel on my Discord, and I'll do watch parties. I most recently did a watch party of the original TV adaptation of It from 1990. So the next one I might do would be maybe Salem's Lot, because I enjoy the movie version over the book, but we'll see. At least in terms of movie watch parties, because one of the next watch parties coming up is a wrestling event for War Games, and that's at the end of November. So that'll be a watch party. But yeah, and then tomorrow I should be on my Kick and Twitch. This is my Twitch. This is my Kick. This is my Throne, which works like an Amazon wish list. I do not expect anything from anyone, but it's much appreciated. But this is my Kick and Twitch, and I'm like currently starting up again, basically, because I did not get too far into it, but starting up again, Shadow of Mordor. I'm playing through that currently, so I'll be streaming that tomorrow evening. No stream Thursday. Sorry, Sean. No stream Friday, I should say. No stream Friday because I'll be doing a siblings hangout Friday evening. I might do some offline gaming Friday during the day if possible. If not, then the next time you'll see me will be on Saturday. I'm going to try to do another gaming stream in the evening. And then Talk Nerdy to Us. It's a stream I do with my nerdy home. Will be on her channel that's coming Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And then after that, I'll let you guys know the streaming schedule coming up for the following week. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, have a good rest of your day or evening, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you all tomorrow on my Kick and Twitch for some more Shadow of Mordor. See ya.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.